But eventually, Mark refocused and got back on track.
I've been being a little baby the last few days. I've been missing my wife and missing my family so much that I've just been a putz.
Mark continued to work with Clay, and they targeted Kristen. Once again, we have a tie. The difference in time, 1 second.
Wow.
Once again, Mark was in a tie with the executed player.
Oh my God.
Dude, I'm so mad.
And he and Clay needed a new suspect.
Nicole has been suspicious since the beginning.
Fortunately for Mark, Alex also targeted Nicole. But time was running out for him and his coalition partner, Clay.
Wow. Did you go 100% Nicole?
Yeah.
They were still convinced that the mole was Nicole. And in the next quiz, they tied. Mark had a faster time and watched as his coalition partner was executed and left the game. Even after Clay's execution, Mark still believed Nicole might be the mole.
Is it possible that all of us are focusing on the same person and Clay's just had the slowest time? Or are Clay and I completely off track?
But fortunately for Mark, time with his wife rejuvenated him, and once again he had his goal clearly in mind. He needed to win this for his family. Mark knew what he had to do. Earn the game's final exemption, thereby securing his spot in the final 3, buying him some time to finally figure out who is the mole. Mark showed his mental prowess by solving the doublet faster than anyone else.
You gotta be kidding me, somebody's out already?
This gave Mark a shot at the final exemption, and he capitalized on that opportunity. When Paul was executed, that left only 2 suspects. Now, Mark had a decision. Should he trust Clay one last time?
Did you go 100% Nicole?
Yeah.
If Clay had been truthful about targeting Nicole on the quiz, which led to his execution, then Craig had to be the mole. But had Clay been truthful?
Hopefully, Clay will be able to help me from the other side. That I will trust that he did what he said, and that leads me to Craig.
In the final quiz, Mark applied the wealth of information in his journal towards Craig, and he was unstoppable.
Mark is the perfect mix of athleticism and knowledge and paranoia.
Throughout the game, Mark's journey was full of near misses, but his tireless work ethic and drive to win for his family led him to victory.
Congratulations, man.
At the same time.
Mark, after seeing that, I want to know from you, how does it feel that you were so close to execution so many times?
I knew it. I knew that Clay and I tied the night that Clay went home. I was pretty certain that I had tied Kristen the night that she went home. I did feel really bad the night Clay went home because basically, you know, that was a sacrifice that ended up letting me win the game. Clay literally was my sanity in this game. And he saved me emotionally. I can't thank him enough for that because he talked me off the ledge. And
Not a problem.
Should have pushed him, man.
Not a problem.
On that final quiz, did you think you had Nicole beat?
No, Nicole is incredibly intuitive, and she is very smart. And I thought that I needed probably a perfect score to beat her.
On the other side of it, Nicole, did you think you won on that final quiz?
Absolutely not. The moment I walked out of the quiz, I knew. I mean, I've been taking enough tests in my life to know when I've done well in a quiz and when I've performed poorly. There are definitely questions when I'm going back in my mind I know that I didn't get right. And there were a couple questions that I thought were in the dossier. Of course, they were probably in Mark's journal. They just weren't in my head.
As long as you brought up the dossier, it contained the answer to only one of the questions on the final quiz. And both of you got that right. So the dossier had no effect on the final outcome. Mark, that dossier cost you $75,000.
$75,000 to win 420 that wasn't mine to begin with, you know. It was worth
the
it.
risk.
Yes.
Nicole, on the final quiz, you got 13 out of 20 correct.
That's terrible.
Not enough to win. And Mark,
Absolutely not.
you scored 17 out of 20 correct. So, Craig, How did you manage to keep Mark off your trail?
I became his friend. It was that easy. I led him to believe that I was harmless and that I was trying to ask him for help. And
He said I was his mentor in the game.
yeah, Mark
Yeah.
became like a mentor, kind of like uncle figure to me, you know? And you're never going to suspect someone that looks up to you.
Victoria, I got to know from you, when you saw that one slip up cost you a chance to move on in this game, how'd that hit you?
It hit me right in the gut.
That's a quiz you'll remember forever, right?
Oh, yeah, especially, I kind of had a feeling I was going home, but especially when you said there was a tie, I was like, God, it's me. I'm going home. But to know that I tied with the winner, it's like, wait, could I have been the winner?
On the night you were executed, 4 people had you pegged as the mole.
That's so
You had them roped in. When we return, we'll find out what the mole sabotaged and how he was able to go unsuspected by most of the players for so very long. After much anticipation, we finally discovered that Craig is the mole. And this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's find out what Craig sabotaged and how he was able to fool so many for so long.
My strategy was to be the fun, lovable guy.
Look at the size of that thing. You got anything in a men's size?
He's just a big teddy bear. He's hilarious.
Everybody was completely underestimating me, not even thinking that I had the ability to be the mole. I think I looked like I was trying. I just couldn't do it very well.
Craig tries, though. He really does try.
He started out sabotaging from the beginning. In the Over the Falls mission,
I was told drop the bag, and that was it. It wasn't really that hard.
the other players' reactions to him was as he'd hoped. They did not blame him, but actually encouraged him.
Craig didn't get the bag. Bless his heart. He tried.
In the Crusoe mission, Craig plodded along in a snail's pace, covering up the tobacco tin in the sand and telling everyone there was nothing in the rocks he searched, when actually the copper kettle was there. This resulted in a loss of $10,000.
I'm an uphill battle.
In Race to the Summit, he was told to be an uphill battle player, but he was blocked.
My backup sabotage was to slow down the team as much as possible.
Craig even scored a goal on his own team.
Yes, Craig scored a goal on his own team. He's so funny.
In the When Pigs Fly mission, when Bobby suffered leg cramps, it was Craig who told him to get into the wheelbarrow.
We gotta think about how much time it takes us to get there and back, too.
That's what I'm worried about.
Like, it's probably been like 10 minutes, you think?
Right.
Craig's team was so slow, they didn't find a single pig.
We wasted a lot of time looking for those pigs with Bobby in the wheelbarrow. We didn't even have a place to put them if we found them.
He kept a potential $11,000 out of the pot.
If Craig turns out to be the mole, I'll be so pissed. I mean, I don't think he is, but that'd be a good MO, like trying to do well at all the missions.
In Fruit of the Luge, he broke the rules by talking to Victoria after they crossed the finish line.
Green bananas.
But once again, the group overlooked Craig's sabotage.
I believe, from what Craig said, that Victoria kept the talking going.
I don't believe for one iota that Craig is the mole.
In the Traveler's mission, he was told to assign players forms of transportation that would prevent players from reaching a monument in time and keep $30,000 from the pot, all while earning himself an exemption.
Nicole, you will be at the head.
How dare you?
Paul, you will be bringing up the rear.
I'm not gonna be an ass in an ass. I actually thought it was a moment of sheer genius. It was almost Shakespearean.
What he didn't count on was the strong reaction from the other players.
I'm not gonna make a fool of myself, and you get an exemption.
But this actually worked to his advantage.
Everybody immediately started thinking, who made us not want to do this? And Mark was the most vocal.
So we're opting out.
I am.
I'll opt out right now.
Unbelievably, after single-handedly sabotaging the entire group, no one suspected Craig.
I was shocked that no one thought I was the mole after Travelers. I thought that my cover was blown, and that was probably the most stressful time for me.
In fact, no one but Paul suspected Craig enough to choose him as the mole on the quiz until week 7.
The group thinks Craig is the greatest thing since sliced bread. You know, funny guy. And I think that's gonna be some people's downfall in this game.
In How's the View, Craig was up to no good once again. He purposely botched the children's games by getting Nicole to speak, breaking the rule.
Am I on the right side?
She can't talk. She can't talk. His poor performance in the rest of the mission prevented $27,500 from being added to the pot. The swing and the miss?
In Sell Out, I was actually given the answer to the doublet, but I didn't want to make it too obvious. Mark just got out faster than anyone could have imagined. It really speaks to his ability as a player.
So, Craig did the next best thing to sabotage. He got shot. This prevented $15,000 from being added to the pot. Going into the TikTok Boom mission, Craig had all the answers, so he gently guided the group to success without detection.
Yes!
Showing that sometimes even the mole has a heart.
I had to take mercy on the players because we had to get this pot up.
Craig did a fantastic job as the mole, sabotaging well over $100,000 from being added to the pot, and doing it in a way that kept him off almost everyone's suspect list.
Everyone kind of expects large guys to not be that smart, so I used that to my advantage. At letting everyone believe that I wasn't as smart as they were, made them underestimate me more, and had them right where I wanted them.
Everyone loves Craig. He's so freaking funny. I keep picturing Craig walking out and being like, "Hey guys, I'm the mole," and everyone just like rolling on the floor laughing because no one would ever suspect him.
This guy can't be the mole. He's hilarious. He's great. I just want to hug him.
He's too funny to be the mole. I mean, if he was, that'd be the funniest mole ever.
Oh, wow.
You are shifty. Craig, at this point, now that you're here, finally being called the mole, anything you'd like to say to your fellow players, the other 11?
Thanks for being good sports. I mean, I had an amazing time, and they all added to it. It was a unique experience because of the other people that were with me.
Mark, my question to you. What made the guy next to you such a great mole?
Just how affable he is, you know? I mean, he was just always having a good time and joking and being everybody's friend, and you just didn't want to believe he was the mole. I mean, it was just unfathomable. Oh, he can't be. No, he's just too nice and he's funny, and you know, you didn't ever want to say, oh, but he did this and that and the other, and you go, well, yeah, but he can't. He's struggling, and you know, I mean,
See,
it was just
worked it. I would have liked to see this game with him playing it because I think there would be a different scenario there.
I actually would have played the exact same way.
Ooh. Victoria, how would you rate Craig as the mole?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say 100.
Yeah!
You know, it's like, there's no way this guy's the mole. He's too soft. He's softer than I am. There's no way. But, you know, great. Good job.
Thank you.
Huge moment in the show. We're at the Andes Mountains. You end up in an ambulance. Looks pretty serious. Everybody wants to know. Was that great acting, or were you really out of it, man?
I was really out of it. A key piece of how I played the game was to fail spectacularly. And in the Midas Rush mission, I was told to just be a player. But oddly enough, that was one of my favorite missions because I was so proud of myself for making it to the top. And I did prove myself that I could do it, but then I was hauled off in an ambulance, and that was real. I really was suffering from altitude sickness and hypothermia.
Wow.
Everyone looked very nervous. The people who knew, there was very few people on the set who knew who I was, and they all looked terrified.
Marcy, I see you sitting back there. I'm curious from you. You had a short little run, but at any point, did you suspect Craig as the mole?
No, he was the fun, lovable guy, you know, that I sat in the van with and made funny songs with. And the funny thing is, you still want to give him a big hug. You know, he did a great job. Sweet. No, I didn't know.
Well, at this point, I think it's apropos to give Craig a big round of applause. Spectacular job. When we come back, we'll reveal the hidden clues to the identity of the mole and one final surprise. Back in a moment. Welcome back to the season finale of The Mole. And yes, we now know Craig is the mole and Mark is the big winner. In each and every episode this season, there was at least one hidden clue to help you identify the mole. Some clues were very subtle, intended for die-hard mole fans, but others were so obvious, everyone watching at home should have caught them. For those of you who did, this will confirm your theories. In week 1's Crusoe mission, the mole himself delivered the first clue by bringing over a message from the mole. In the past, beautiful models have been the mole on more than one occasion. This season, we wanted to clue you in that this time a model would not be the mole. Thus, in the map in week 2 was embedded a one-frame clue spelling out the words, "Not Allie."
Wow.
In week 3, the hidden clue was in the main titles. It pointed to the identity of the final 3 players. If you look closely, there are 3 sets of numbers hidden among the rest of the graphics. They are the area codes of the hometowns of the final 3 players. The clue in week 4 was 3 audio clues that again pointed to the identity of the final 3 players. Were you listening? At the end of the Midas Rush mission, when the ambulance drives away with Craig, the sound of a school bell can be heard, signifying Mark, a school teacher. During the Who Said That mission, a baby's cry can be heard, signifying Nicole, an OBGYN doctor. And finally, as the players leave dinner, Craig's distinctive laugh can be heard. The problem is, Craig was not at dinner. He was back at the cabins resting, signifying Craig as another of the final 3 players.
I promise to leave the exemption in there.
In the All for One mission, there's graffiti on the wall behind Mark. Unbeknownst to Mark, his arm is actually underlying the letters CRG. CRG is an abbreviation for Craig. In the recap episode, all clues from the previous 5 weeks were replayed. And there was also an additional one-frame clue hidden in the first map. The latitude and longitude of San Diego, Craig's hometown. In week 6, all of Clay's interviews had the same background.
In fact, my wife fixes the VCR.
Sculptures of 2-letter I's, except once, if you were paying close attention, when Clay speculated in interview about the identity of the mole.
If it turns out Mark is the mole, I wouldn't be surprised.
The background was digitally enhanced with sculptures of 4 eyes. 4 Eyes is a nickname for someone who wears glasses, and Craig is the only player in the game who does. In week 7, in the Act 4 bumper, the words Roja Corbata are hidden in the mole thumbprint. Roja Corbata means red tie in Spanish. Craig wore a red tie during the execution in this episode. Week 8 had the game's final execution, Paul, and our game's most obvious clue. Since Paul's name was called first and he was executed, Craig's name was not called. However, if you paid careful attention, Marcy, you would have noticed that I never called Craig's name during any of the executions.
Allie, Kristen, Victoria, Clay.
It wasn't necessary to call his name. He wasn't going anywhere. He is the mole. And finally, in week 9, there was a hidden audio clue in the show graphics. It may sound like nothing, but if played backwards, it said,
Craig buried Paul.
After all the deception and suspicion, everything has finally been revealed, but I gotta tell you, we have one more surprise. Mark, my friend, will you please stand up? I'd like to tell you there's someone here that would like to see you.
I hope it's not an IRS guy.
You're in luck, it is not. Brenda, come on out.
Oh, are you kidding? I'm supposed to be at home asleep.
Mark, she has no idea what has just happened. Why don't you fill your lovely wife in?
I won.
I really didn't think so, but this is very exciting.
Mark, do you have something that you might like to tell Brenda?
I did this so that you don't have to work anymore. And I want you to be able to stay home with the baby and stay home with the kids. And I just thought it would be the greatest gift I could give her and the baby is just for her to be able to stay home.
I know this moment feels good. I can feel the electricity right here.
Can I just say, I was very fortunate in this game And there were people that played this game better than I did. But I'm humbled, and you know, I had to win at the expense of 11 other people or 10 other people, and I just thank everybody.
You deserved it.
You know, these people.
Yes. Congratulations, Mark, once again. Congratulations, everybody. No question about it, this has been one phenomenal season here on The Mole. I've enjoyed it, and we've all enjoyed bringing you the summer's biggest whodunit. Thanks a lot for watching.
Air transportation provided by Lawn Airlines.
We have to do it together with our shirts.
Mole! This is not a good idea.
You can do it! I will catch you, Craig, I promise! I'm gonna throw, I swear. She said no throwing up. Oh my God. You can have 20 Pisco Sours. This is so much better.
This is Mole going wild.
Oh, gosh. That wasn't cool.